showing some vignettes where we say, okay, now you're going to need a webcam that's on a tripod. Now my camera's a little high, so I'm looking straight ahead, so I don't want them looking at you. Get a tripod that sits in the middle of the room so the teacher can look at that camera. That way she's staring at those students that are at home, okay?
And that's just any type of webcam?
Modeling, right? Do what?
I'm sorry, I'm just saying like any webcam. I can take a Logitech, I can take any way to...
Logitech, I would say a ViewSonic VB-Cam 001, 6 weeks, we can get them in, they're pretty good. Jeff Erb will take care of you on that one. But most good webcams, ours has a tripod base on it, so you can screw in a tripod mount. Put that tripod in the middle of the room, get a nice long run USB cable to go to the teacher PC. So that way, if the panel was behind me, the teacher could see me talking to you, and then I can turn around and write on the board. Now, what's going to happen is in my view board, I can actually have it where, and let me show you. It's probably not going to work the way I want to because I've got my camera being used by Zoom. But if I go down here into my Magic Box, I have a section, yes, so my camera's not available because Zoom has it. There will be a camera here. Let's see if the second one here will work. I have lots of toys, as you can see. Plenty of them.
And Jeff, can you provide details on various cameras after this?
100%.
Or, I mean, like what's ideal for the classroom too would be, like I'd love to hear. I would
say get a 1080p camera that's got a pretty good wide angle, which is why I mentioned our VB-Cam 001. Before we had it, I had several Logitech cameras. But all right, so now I've got it plugged in. So you see this little camera icon I plug in? So I'm going to say the 615 because I'm not using it. So what would happen is if I were a teacher, I would focus that camera. It would be on a tripod, head level, looking at me. I would shrink that window down, put it in one of the corners, and that way, as I'm teaching and talking, you see me in that corner as the student at home, but I'm sharing my screen, my viewboard screen via Zoom. And when I put a problem on the screen, I can model it, and then I can turn around and talk not only to the students in the class, but I can be talking to the students at home. They would see me, they would get that connection.
So you're running camera on Zoom right now, and you just hooked up a separate one that's going right into my viewboard?
Yeah. I don't need the camera. So ideally, you would not need 2 cameras. You just need one. One on a tripod. You're talking to, like I'm talking to that camera right there, right? So that's my C920. Okay. The only reason why I hooked a separate one up is because what I was doing, my camera won't, if it's being taken up by Zoom, it won't show on my viewboard, so I hooked the second one up so you can see. That second camera could be a document camera. I would even say get a good document camera. Some of them actually flick up so they can be a webcam as well. But I get a document camera because the teacher's going to need to model analog content, right? So you could have a document camera right up here in that top corner like I've got with my viewboard. Students can watch you model a problem, then you can go to the digital whiteboard and write on it. You can capture things that you're doing from an analog and put it on your digital whiteboard so students in class and out of class can see what you're doing.
But there's no need for 2.
No.
And while I'm asking questions, I'm sorry, is there a need for Zoom? Or is there a way, like, do you need that separate platform?
You need one of the 3 platforms. You
need
Teams.
TMZ.
Yeah, TMZ. Need one of the 3.
And then I think that we are interested too in terms of Google Meets. Certain enterprise licensing might be required to do the live stream.
Yeah, so Google won't allow you to do any type of recording unless you got an enterprise license, right? So unlike Zoom, where I can hit the record button or Bird could hit the record button, you can't do that with Meet unless you're an enterprise customer. Okay. Because it's all going to their servers, and they want you to pay for the bits in, bits out, right? So with my viewboard, if I wanted to record the lesson, and this is why a teacher would want to record their lesson, because We don't know how long we're going to be in COVID. Heck, we could have another pandemic instead of every 100 years, every 5 years. I mean, we don't know what world we live in past this, but preparation would tell a teacher to hit the record button, right? So if I bring this back up, there's my little record icon. As I start my class, I just record it. And I build a content library for my lessons so that if something happened, I can always send it out year after year after. Because remember, teachers' content doesn't change. They teach the same thing year after year. This way they can have the same video and just recycle it year after year.
Like they do with the tests.
Yeah, pretty much. So
where they did when I was in high school.
I found a couple of recycled tests in college.
I had a few of those in my day myself.
So, any other questions? Those are good.
Did you mention that, this is Mike Christensen, did you mention that the students at home can also access the whiteboard and draw on it and or annotate in any way, or is that,
so,
and if so, do they have to have touch screen to be able to do that?
The answer is, could they? Yes, through Classroom. Will that happen right now? No. And here's why. It's the limitation of the knowledge of the teacher, right? They're right now more concerned about getting class conducted and hitting the matrices that states have on them to get that federal dollar, right? So right now, schools are worried about, well, how am I going to get my Fed dollars and how am I going to count attendance and how's this going to work? Because each student has a price on their head. Be real, school's a business. So what a teacher's going to end up doing is still use what they do. And you remember the two platforms I showed you, Office 365 and G Suite? Most teachers are going to share a document. This is what they do with my daughter. They share a document. My daughter completes that document, and when she's done, it goes to the folder. My teacher grades it, and it's done. That's how most of everything is going to be done. My daughter does not do two-way collaboration. There was a post from a teacher, and I'll tell you some tricks and where I'm looking and seeing how teachers are going through COVID, is I go to YouTube and search classroom setup in a pandemic. There's never been classroom setup videos on YouTube until this year. And there are teachers showing how they're setting up their classroom. And the nerdy part of me is not, I don't care about where they got their desk placed. I'm actually looking, my guys, that school's got some projectors. It's time to go update into some view boards, right? They got smart. That's an old smart board. Let's get them updated to a view board. I can look at the tech in their room and I'm thinking, all right, they're in a pandemic. How can I better their technology experience? Okay, that's number one. Then I'm listening to what they say about how they're going to teach, when they're going to teach. In Arizona, certain school districts, they can only be in the classroom for 2 hours. That 2 hour period is strictly to record lesson content. So Chris, you mentioned the setup of a hybrid and having a camera. That 2 hours with nobody in the room would still apply of having a camera on a tripod, a good webcam that's widescreen, so the teacher can talk to it as if that was a class connection, but also share and do the recording through my view board and model the problem, right? So everything is seen by the student as if they were there. But during that 2 hours, she's recording those 10, 15-minute supplementary videos to help with the packets they're sending out. That's kind of how class is going to be for the next 9 weeks. It might change after 9 weeks, but remember, teachers for the past 100 years have taught the same way. Pen, paper, whiteboard, chalkboard. You know, I've got thousands and thousands of my view boards sitting out, and think probably less than 10% are ever touched. They're just glorified projector screens. That most
so you're getting the forced adoption on this now, obviously, because now people need a digital platform to conduct. So this is going to be great for you.
You got to keep it simple. A teacher just needs a digital whiteboard. Can we do more than that with our software? Absolutely we can. But you will not hear out of my team about crazy features that are going to just stress a teacher out. We put them in places where they can explore and learn on their own. We have a great wiki site that that can show them how to do certain things with step-by-step videos. And it's easy to get to. If I hit the little question mark button there, you'll see the My ViewBoard Wiki, and it'll open up right on the page. So we give them the ability to explore features that they find and learn on their own. And if they need more help, we have a professional development team that can say, you know what, a group of teachers wants to learn about this. And that is something you can sell. And then we turn around and we train them.
Same token, though, currently we are offering limited professional development at no charge to your school districts right now. So if it's how to, become proficient in a Google Classroom environment, or how to cast, or maybe even how to just create content, we can allow them access to our professional development team for that. They can also download, as Jason said earlier, the My ViewBoard software to their laptops, to dummy panels, whatever. And what that will allow you to do is, as you were saying, forced adoption, Chris, is that as those teachers, as those districts become aware, become mature in the My ViewBoard software, that just helps all of us longer term, going right back into that school district and saying, okay, here's the My ViewBoard software, now here are the panels that come along with it.
Again, our thing is, ask a teacher where they live, not like their home address, but where do they live in the world of Google and Office 365? Where do they live in the world of Teams, Meet, and Zoom? Build technology around that, because they migrated to those. It's going to be very hard to take them off of that because they've already adopted it. But if we can get the right pieces and parts to make this hybrid learning easier for them, it's a win-win for all. So last thing I wanted to show you on this was, how does an at-home look, right? So at-home looks like this. I pulled this up because TD2455 is a popular touch display. That's going to only work with Chrome, and it's only going to work with Windows. It doesn't work with Mac. We do have a TD1655 that is a new 16-inch touch display that's USB-C that is supposed to have Mac support, but I haven't had one to test and play with it. But this is how a typical teacher at-home setup should look. You're going to have a teacher-issued device, which is usually going to be a Chromebook or a Windows 10 device. They're going to manage their Teams, Meet, and Zoom right there. They're going to look at the students. They're going to manage the student like I'm doing now. And then they're going to model all their problems on that touchscreen display. So it'll be a dual setup. So, what you can do right now to help for the at-home learning is look for a great touchscreen monitor like our TD2455 to offer up as a at-home solution to help teachers with that touchscreen. The confirmed smallest Mac display that we have is the IFP 5550. I know that works because I have one. So yes, it's a bigger panel, but I'm using a 55-inch right now, and maybe that is right for some schools. Maybe the superstar teachers are going to be doing a lot of videos and a lot of virtual. They might benefit from a smaller IFP, and that's something that we provide on most state contracts.
So you can do it from a touchscreen display. Can you do it from the actual laptop too, or no?
You could, but if you're going to manage a class and do your modeling for all your problems, I would have a second display.
And it has to be touch.
Preferably. It doesn't have to be, but if you try to write and annotate with a mouse, you know how complicated that can be. Preferably, it would be a touchscreen.
I've never realized there was touchscreen displays like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sure Jeff told me. I'm sure he did 100 times.
See that in front of Jeff.
Never thought of it. Never thought of a need until just now.
That right there is a typical, and as I've trolled Instagram and Pinterest and watched some of the setups, I see where a teacher has that laptop sitting on some type of stand like that with a keyboard and mouse. And the minute they get a touchscreen, it'll change the way they operate. They're not down on the screen. They've got better posture.
And Chris, I appreciate you saying that, but this really didn't become a construct for us until the epidemic. There wasn't a need. Now in the higher ed, we talk about this kind of